Welcome to the final session for the Belize Tourism Futures series. This course, the third one, is called Building Resilient Branding and Community Collaboration. And today's topic is all about collaboration for shared success. My name is Angela from Belize, and I will be your presenter for today's session. As you know, the Belize Tourism Future Series aims to transform the tourism industry by fostering innovation and sustainability. This initiative was inspired by Lorenzo's dedication to Belize's economic growth and is supported by the Emergent Ventures grant from George Mason University's Mercatus Center in collaboration with Belizeing.com and the Lodge at Chat Creek. To cover some housekeeping notes, as you all know, there is a chat box available for comments or questions. We will address all questions at the end of the presentation during the Q&A session. If you'd like to use your camera or your mic during the Q&A session, you could send a request by hovering over the mic icon at the bottom of your screen on a laptop or desktop, or tap the mic icon at the top right corner on your mobile device. So without further ado, let's get started. I will go ahead and share my screen. All right, great. So it's sort of weird seeing my face here as the presenter because I'm usually the host and just give the intro and the outro and answer some questions. But I'm glad to be able to close the series by being the final presenter and talking about collaboration, which is something very close to me because since joining Belizeing.com in 2017, all we've done since then is collaborate with stakeholders in the industry. So I find that this topic is very fitting. I was born and raised here in Belize, specifically Santa Elena, so right where Lorenzo is at. I currently hold a bachelor's in computer science from Gillen University, and I'm currently also enrolled in MIU, doing a master's in educational leadership and management and emerging technologies. I am passionate about fostering growth and collaboration within the industry. And of course, my current position here is General Manager of Belizeing.com and Belize Digital Media. So for today's agenda, we will start by discussing the power of collaboration and its role in Belize's tourism industry. Then we'll explore the concept of co-opetition, what it means and why it's essential. I'll share some real examples, including some collaborative initiatives by Belizeing and our industry partners. We'll also address some of the challenges of co-opetition and how to overcome them. And then finally, we'll outline some practical steps for how you can consider to collaborate in your own work. So to get right into it, collaboration is essential when it comes to our tourism industry. It is the foundation of success. By working together, we can amplify our impact and build a stronger relationship across different stakeholders. For instance, Belizeing has traveled all over Belize to promote seasonal festivals like the Mango Fest, the Lobster Fest, the Chocolate Fest, and any other fest that comes up. We attend these events, produce live streams, write about the event, promote Belize itself as a vibrant destination for travelers. When we promote Belize, we also highlight some of the stakeholders that, let's say, are at these events or the stakeholders that we partner with when we travel throughout Belize. And so those partners get exposure to an international audience, and that in itself not only strengthens relationships, but builds trust and fosters resilience within our tourism industry. And as a ripple effect, it creates opportunities for mutual success and community upliftment. So going into the topic of co-opetition, we want to understand what it is. So co-opetition is a strategy where businesses collaborate in areas that benefit everyone while still competing in other areas. It's more about finding shared goals and elevate that for the entire industry. Going back or using Belizeing as an example, we've worked with several tour operators to showcase unique experiences that they offer through different familiarization trips. And since 2017, we have been traveling throughout Belize with different holders, different tour companies, different hotels, showcasing what they offer I think a good example is the one that Lorenzo keeps repeating since February is the Cook Your Catch tour. He had a really great experience and like good competition. He wrote about it, he promoted it. And so not only does his blog get new content, but the tour operator gets exposure from his platform as well. We also have different experiences like horseback riding with St. Leonard's. We also went caving with them. We did river kayaking, mountain biking with Belize caving. Several different experiences that I cannot just list out for because it's too much. I cannot spend the rest of the hour listing out all the partnerships that we've done, but these are just some examples. So by collaborating on these trips, we get to create content that promotes multiple businesses and it benefits everyone involved while highlighting Belize itself as gem where people could just travel and experience everything that we've been showcasing. So why does that matter? Coopetition is important because it promotes innovation. We are able to share resources and ideas, and it allows us to create better experience for travelers. We learn from you and you learn from us. Second, it builds stronger networks and makes the tourism industry a little more resilient. So, for example, there are organizations for hotels and tour operators like the Belize Hotel Association, the Tour Guide Association, the Belize Tourism Industry Association, and even the BTB. They are excellent examples of competition in action because they work together on advocacy efforts, such as lobbying, let's say, for road repairs or better infrastructure. They also host several trade shows where they collectively market Belize as a top destination. Another good example would be different conservation efforts like Reef Week, where stakeholders unite to protect the natural heritage. They get to promote Belize, but also market to those who are eco-conscious. So those would just be some examples showcasing competition and why it matters to us. If you look at the pictures that I have here, it showcases us traveling to different festivals, partnering with different organizations. I see here we went to the Chocolate Festival, we went to the Kikaker Lobster Festival. We partnered with the BTIE for BTEX that they had a couple years back, where we shuttled several travel agents across Belize for them to learn about our product so they could sell it better. We partner with the Belize Audubon Society. We've attended the Mango Fest and smaller festivals like the Marimba Festival here in San Ignacio at the House of Culture. We've had cultural experiences with Palmento Grove. We went birding with Cape's Branch. We went snorkeling with Mario Tours. We did more cultural experiences with Noche Hill, Sactonich, and the list goes on and on. We've also started to work on different projects that involve collaborating with different entities in Belize. And so the competition and collaboration continues to grow. But why does it matter? It promotes innovation by sharing resources. It builds stronger networks in and industry resilience. It creates value for communities through collective impact. And an example would be these joint sessions we're having with Lorenzo. It could also be an example of us traveling and collaborating with different stakeholders. To use Belizeing as a case study, I want to highlight some of the ways we've been doing competition. And of course, I want to highlight the webinars that we've done. Of course, this one with Lorenzo for the Belize Tourism Futures series, we've been doing that since February. Prior to that, we've done webinars with the Belize Hotel Association where we touched on different topics in the digital marketing space. We also did some hospitality webinars with Hospitality Training Belize a couple of years back during COVID to sort of prepare the hospitality workforce for the reopening of the airport. Some other collaboration efforts we've done would be through different projects like the Belizeing Tourism Innovation Lab, where we did digital transformation for 26 tourism MSMEs throughout Belize focused on workforce development. You could see all the companies that we've partnered with Um, like I said, it's 26 of them, along with different entities within government and private sector. We've done something similar with other projects, such as Belizeing Digital Adaptation Project, where we provided hands-on technical skills. And so the collaboration for us never seems to end. But of course, we don't live in a perfect world. There has to be challenges with Coopetition. If we were able to collaborate seamlessly with everyone, that would be the ideal situation. But we don't live in a perfect world, so there are some setbacks when it comes to this. And the first one would be balancing trust and competition, because at the end of the day, you have to sustain your business, and you can't just collaborate and not see some returns or benefits towards your company. Our next challenge would be unequal contribution to benefits. There are some disparities in resources or effort that can create some tension or create some issues when you collaborate. There is also the challenge of communication breakdowns, where misaligned goals or unclear rules could lead to inefficiencies. Sometimes long-term sustainability is not feasible. So we have to keep up with the momentum, and that requires ongoing effort and commitment. We also have to look at short-term versus long-term thinking, because when you focus solely on immediate rewards, that can limit opportunities for sustainable growth. And so some ways to overcome those challenges would be to, let's say, start small. So if, let's say, you can't commit to traveling outside of Belize trade show to promote your business, you can start small and see who you can collaborate with within the industry at the moment. Something else you could do is prioritize transparency. Of course, you want to make sure that both companies know what the goal of that collaboration is for. You could evaluate regularly to see which collaboration makes sense for your business. And then also prioritize clear and consistent communication among partners, because you want to be on the same page. You want to make sure that what you are doing is aligned well with each of your goals. And so all of these you could do in order to foster good collaboration and overcome some of the challenges with competition. And so some steps to foster collaboration would be to identify shared goals, going back to proper communication. So you can focus on common objectives like promoting beliefs or improving infrastructure, or just generally speaking, tap into each other's audience and see how you could leverage that. You could start with building trust, smaller collaborations, and use transparent communication to strengthen partnerships. You could leverage different strengths. So you could assign roles based on each partner's expertise and maximize the contributions. And then also celebrate success, of course. Acknowledge and share the impact of the collaborative efforts so you could maintain motivation within that partnership. And so, some key takeaways for competition or from this presentation is that collaboration and competition are essential for the growth and sustainability of Belize's tourism industry. By working together, whether through event promotions, conservation initiatives, or industry advocacy, we can strengthen the foundation of Belize as a top travel destination. At Belizeing, we've been privileged to partner with so many stakeholders within the industry to showcase Belize in itself. And I want to encourage everyone to be open to collaboration, because I know a lot of people have the mentality of, let's say, the crab in a bucket, where I want to be ahead of the other stakeholders in the industry. But we won't get far if that's the case. And in order for us to move forward and to continue to build the industry, collaboration is key. And so that would be my takeaways for the presentation. I know it's not much, or the presentation has been quite short, but I hope that you guys are able to see the greater impact of competition and working together as an industry. We won't necessarily survive on our own, but together we can definitely make movements and improve the industry itself. With that said, I will open the session for the Q&A. You could let us know if you have any questions about collaborating, questions about competition. I'm sure Lorenzo and myself has more to share, but of course, we have to be mindful of the time allotted for today.
Thank you, Angela. Yes, that was very informative. If the audience has any questions regarding this topic, please type it into the chat. Anything you would want clarified or anything you want Angela to just talk a little bit about more, just type it in the chat and we can ask her. In the meantime, to begin, my question for Angela is, what did you find the most surprising thing about Coopetition, collaborating with competitors? What has been the most surprising thing about this topic, your research and your experience?
Well, for competition, it would surprise you how many businesses currently are doing that but don't realize it. And while some are like doing efforts that are relate to competition, others tend to be closed off and not collaborate. So there is like those in the far side that do competition and then others that don't collaborate at all. But those that do have initiatives that relate to competition, they've been doing it for so long and sometimes people don't realize it. For example, you shared an article where you wrote about it in 2015, 2013. And I think it's pretty interesting because you have to find good stakeholders that you can actually collaborate with and it's beneficial for both parties because oftentimes when we collaborate people might think, oh, it would benefit you, but what about me? Of course it would benefit everyone if you have set goals and communicate properly with other industry stakeholders.
The article that I wrote a while back was when I was introduced to Coopetition. I was like, wow, like I need to share this with everyone so that it's more widespread. I strongly believe in the term writing is thinking. And by this, I mean that you might be doing something, but until you put it on paper, until you examine it, then it's actually when you can leverage, when you can take advantage, because then you understand what you're doing and you know, like, oh, actually, this is what I'm doing. And now I know I can even improve on it because you're aware. Anyway, the article I wrote about the San Pedro Business Association and how they created an association to be able to collectively put on events. And they knew that once they have events, then the tourists will come and then the tourists will go to all the different establishments. So that's the way how you collaborate for later compete. But without any collaboration, then no one would benefit. When I wrote the article in 2015, this was before there were a bunch of festivals all across Belize. Now it's a lot more common, but back then it wasn't something that everyone did. So I don't know if anyone took my advice about doing these festivals to draw people into the area, but I'm really happy that things have changed a little.
Yeah, they probably read your article and said, okay, let's see what we could do to promote the destination. Because since then, there has been festivals popping up left, right, and center. There's Taco Fest that recently happened in Orange Walk. Of course, we have the usual Mango Fest, Chocolate Fest, Lobster Fest in San Pedro. That's a really good example of competition because they have the Lobster Fest crawl in San Pedro. So they literally have a schedule for the entire week or more than a week where day one, you have to go to this restaurant, day two, go to this place, day three, go to that place. And when you go there, you get your passport, so your Lobster Fest passport, and they stamp it. And I guess at the end, you get a prize or something like that when you get all the stamps. But it's not just to promote one specific restaurant that has the best lobster. You get to literally crowd to different restaurants and places, and guests get to find out about it. So it's like an additional adventure for guests. So if we could do something very similar to this throughout, I'm pretty sure travelers would love that.
Yeah, that's the perfect example because for that to work, you need to collaborate. You need to actually plan out that event. You're like, okay, what can we do to make sure the benefits are spread out? And then they said, okay, so each different restaurant has to be a little bit different. You know, we're all selling lobster, but it has to be a little bit different. One person's going to just do barbecue lobster, but the other person's going to do maybe a sandwich, and the other person's going to do a lobster burger. The other one's going to do a lobster, I don't know, poutine. I don't know if you've heard about about poutine. It's a really popular thing in Canada. So I'm sure the Canadians will love it if they did poutine here. But yeah, you highlight the point where you have to collaborate, work together with others sometimes to achieve your strategic outcomes.
Yeah. Another example would be when there was the birding fest happening. I remember we did maybe a month or two strictly going birding, and then we wrote about our birding experiences, just to promote or hype up birding festival. So we went birding with several different tour operators, and of course we went birding, we went hiking, of course accommodated with the birding, and we wrote about the event. But that still has some sort of competitive advantage, because not every tour company does birding the same way. For example, we get to highlight the guide that took us birding. We learn about their experience, their passion, what they do, how long they've been doing this. The story itself, because we've published videos and it's up on our YouTube channel, it's not just here are the birds that we saw when we went birding with this company. We get to learn about the guide, what they do, the business, why it's unique. We get to learn about the location that we're birding. And so there is a competitive advantage, even though there are similar experiences offered by several different tour companies. So while there are many tour companies that offer similar tours, there are unique instances that we can still highlight. And so that just go back to competition. But I'm interested in knowing, has anyone experienced that or has been doing that, but is just realizing that it's actually a thing you could utilize in your strategy? The questions have been quite minimal for this session. I was hoping for some more questions. Being in
Well,
that,
well, luckily, I have a few more questions for you, Angela. So you mentioned during the session something that all Belizeans know when you say it out loud, and it's the crab in the bucket mentality, right? And
mm,
I was wondering if you have any advice for businesses as to how to overcome that mentality where you think that only you should succeed and that's the best way to compete instead of collaborating.
your business isn't the only one that exists in Belize, and your business isn't the only one that is part of the tourism industry. We are an industry for a reason. And so if you want to work by yourself and keep to yourself, you can do that, but truthfully speaking, you won't make it too far in the race, because there are trends coming up every single day. Travelers are thinking different year by year. And so you need to keep up with that and work together as an industry to get far. This bucket in a crab mentality, where I want to go there first and I want to be on the top, is not sustainable. We have to think about long term instead of short term goals, because if we don't build the industry together, there isn't an industry.
Yes, I love that you mentioned the whole industry aspect. So, what does that mean? It means that it's a collection of items of things are in place for something to work. If only one individual existed, let's say one business existed in Melchor, for example, Belizeans wouldn't go to buy their shoes, socks, and even go eat and drink and all that stuff. But the reason why they go is because there's a collection of things available. And the same thing happens when a tourist is considering a destination. They want to go to a place where they have multiple activities and multiple places to go. They don't want to eat at the one restaurant all the time. Even though they might do that, they want the option of being able to say, if they get tired of the meals at the one restaurant, they want to be able to say, oh, I can go to these other 5, 10 restaurants. And I think a perfect example is Ambergiski, so San Pedro, and Kikaker, and San Ignacio, where there is like this collection of restaurants downtown. And that attracts a lot of tourists. And you, as a restaurant owner, might be, oh, I wish those other restaurants didn't exist around me so that I could make all the money. You would end up making no money because what brought people to the location is the collection of restaurants. It is options available. So, yeah, something that I hope that people always think about are the bigger picture around things. And that's one of the primary reasons why collaborating is important. Okay, let's see. I have a few more questions. What are potential ways that someone can measure the success of collaborating mm, with competitors or strategic partners? partnerships, what are ways you can measure the success or failures?
The first thing you would do before, I guess, collaborating is determining whether the collaboration would make sense for your company and that would go in line with your company goals. Let's say one of my goals is to get more exposure and to promote my brand. If that's the case, then I would collaborate with a travel blogger like Lorenzo. I want the audience he's garnering through his blog site, and so I could organize some trips for him or reach out to him and see how we can collaborate. From there, you could see, okay, these are my goals. I will collaborate with X, Y, and Z persons. And at the end, depending on your goals, you would evaluate whether or not the collaboration was worthwhile. So, for instance, if my brand is being out there on Lorenzo's site and I'm seeing people reaching out to us to book tours or to organize different activities for them, then okay, that's an return of investment. If the goal for me was to get some exposure, my name is out there on Lorenzo's blog because his blog gets a high amount of traffic. So definitely my brand, my name will be seen on his blog site. So if I don't get some return of investments like specifically sales, I could still get that brand exposure. And I think that's something a lot of people need to think of as more valuable because if anything fails, you will always get that exposure. And that in itself is a long term investment because you get to leverage the eyeballs that someone else literally is get on their site. And so determining whether or not a collaboration has been fruitful, you have to go back to your goals. And from there, you get to establish or evaluate and see, okay, this made sense. This is what happened. And then at the end of the day, with the collaboration, maybe the last thing that you get or the first thing and the only thing that you get is exposure, but that in itself is valuable. So just want to make note of that.
Thank you. I have another question for you. It's pretty simple, but why is transparency important in collaboration?
I think transparency is super important because it somewhat relates to that crab in a bucket mentality. You would expect that people aren't transparent with you and have ulterior motives. When at the end of the day, I just wanted to collaborate with you. And so it's important to have clear communication to know what is expected, what each party will do. And that way we can get out of that crab in a bucket mentality and continue to collaborate and of course know what your partnership or that collaboration will bring for you. If let's say I am to just or we're traveling out to Kikaker and want to partner with you for a trip, I will outline, okay, this is what I can offer you, and is this something that you could offer us? That way there is a mutual benefit for each party to know, okay, this is what I'm get from party A and this is what I'm get from party B. So that's important because obviously we want to promote healthy and good competition. We don't want to create inequality in a sense then. So in order to have good competition, you have to let each party know, okay, this is what I'm expecting and this is what I will be offering. That way there are no misinterpretation and miscommunication that would essentially spoil the whole competition theme then.
Yes, I started the poll. I don't know if I'm doing it appropriately because usually Angela does this, but right now I'm in host seat. But I asked, and I would love if people can respond if possible. It's like, have you participated in any collaborations? If yes, please share the examples. If no, what has stopped you?
We've already gotten a response from Miss Carlene. She said we've collaborated with an inland jungle resort in the Kyle district where they offer their guests a day adventure to experience the barrier reef with snorkeling and fishing. Yeah, that's a common way to cooperate, not necessarily highlighting similar experiences, but how you could complement what you already have. So if let's say Miss Carlene, she's with Blue Marlin, and that's an island experience, you can collaborate with someone inland to have that jungle vibe and vice versa. So I think a lot of that has been happening lately.
Yes, and that's another perfect example of collaborating. And if there isn't good communication about what you expect from each other, there might be some tension. If you actually build a relationship with the person and establish like some ground rules or strategic outcomes, you're able to create partnerships that last decades. And you both benefit from this, especially since you already know that tourists love experiencing the jungle and beach. If you only offer one of those options, the natural evolution, the natural choices to partner with someone that offers that, and then you both can benefit. So I do have one final question. Do you have an example of a collaboration that started small but grew into something impactful within the Belize tourism industry?
Started small. And let me see.
And if I put you on the spot, I can always support.
Uh, I think a good example has been the ones that I've been giving because when we started, nobody knew about Belizeing. Nobody knew who we are, what Belizeing is it like it's currently is. And so when we started, we literally had our entire team travel to the islands to get some tour operators to sign up. So we went shot by shot by shot, going there, say hi, we're so and so from Belizeing. This is what Belizeing is. Would you like to collaborate with us? And blah blah blah. We got some trips. We took some content. We wrote about it. So those have been the smaller partnerships that we've had. And as we go along building our brand, continuing to collaborate with other stakeholders, some other stakeholders that have seen our content are receptive to working with us. And so that has built from us literally soliciting trips and telling them, okay, this is what we do. This is how we can promote your brand. This is how both of us or all of us could benefit. And from there, we've just been traveling throughout Belize. And from those smaller collaborations, like the familiarization trips, we've managed to get participants for the different projects that we've hosted, like the Belizeing Digital Adaptation Project, which Miss Carlene was a part of, along with the Belizeing Tourism Innovation Lab, where we partnered with 26 different companies throughout Belize. And so I would say definitely the different trips that we've had from the beginning, from 2017 up until now. But it doesn't have to be, let's say, too fancy then, because we have to figure out what our strengths are. We communicate what each of our goals and what we expect from each other. And then from there, we just continue to build a good working relationship. I think with you, Lauren, though, we reached out one day asking about blogs. And then since then, we've been partnering on different initiatives. And so that collaboration doesn't have to be something grand, but it could be something small. And then as you go along, you can learn and grow from there.
Yes, perfect. And my follow-up question to you is, do you have any lessons you can share about your experience about, what made something fail or what made something better? Like, what are some lessons that you can share from your experiences collaborating with others?
I think you have to be versatile and go with the flow because not everything will go as planned. I know everyone would like to have one set plan and go from step 1 to 10, but sometimes you might do step 3, then 1, then 10, but that's fine. So being flexible, being versatile is very key for collaboration because if something will go wrong, it will go wrong. Being able to be flexible with the people that you work with is essential because sometimes it will test your patience or things might not be go the way that you envisioned then.
Building on what you said, a relationship takes time to build. So, you mentioned in the presentation starting small, and that's important because for trust to develop, you need time and experience and situations where you've interacted together. So that's, I think, something critical. Like, don't think that you're going to establish relationships with people overnight. It takes a while. So, way faster, the quicker you start, the better it is, because you will understand whether that is a good partner or not, whether it's a win-win situation or whether it doesn't work. Yeah. So, and start small, build a relationship, and you can grow together from there.
Yeah. And from the chat, Sandino made a good point. He said that the key is to leverage strengths without undermining each other. So you can collaborate in areas where your strengths differ and then minimize any direct competition. That is really good advice.
I agree. That's perfect.
We have Greg, who said that he collaborated on a smaller level. Victoria House has collaborated with other resorts in the mainland by means of packages. So very similar to what Miss Carlene did with partnering with Business Inland. And then we have Carlos said that they are a jungle resort and have partnered with island resorts such as Blue Marlin. The inland island experience is very common.
And that highlights exactly what Sandino said, where you're leveraging strengths without undermining each other, where you collaborate in the areas where your strengths differ, and you can minimize direct competition. One person has a jungle lodge, the other person has a beach resort. That's their different strengths. So you can combine that and create a perfect package. Yeah. One last thing I can add as an example of collaborating and projects that are successful. Recently, this November, Placencia did the Placencia Restaurant Week, and they were able to get a bunch of restaurants together. And for one, they hosted an event where you could go to different restaurants and have different catered meals. That was the one way to attract people to the area. And restaurants were able to promote each other, but also other people are benefiting from such an event. And I don't know the results of the event this year. Like I don't know if it was really popular or not, but this takes time again. So even if it wasn't like super successful this year, down the road, it can be like, the San Pedro Lobster Fest where tourists come from the US just for that event. So everything takes time and it's all about starting experimenting with projects. And if it works, it works. Put in the time and effort. If it doesn't, then you move on and try something different.
I see Miss Carlene mentioned our collaboration with the Belize Zoo. I swear I had that on my presentation, and when I was going through the slides, I didn't see my slide. So like, where did it go? But we'll proceed. But I'm glad that Miss Carlene mentioned it because it was a collaboration between Belizeing and Belize Digital Media with the zoo. We created the interactive map for the zoo, so visitors can now have an interactive experience when they explore the best little zoo in the world. And she said that they're interested in collaborating to see how, with the BTIA Dangriga, to see how Belizean can develop a digital map for Dangriga, highlighting the culture capital of Belize. And one thing that I really like, we have a comment here from Miss Becker. She said to contact her because they're looking for a jungle lodge to collaborate with. And that's one of the really good things about initiatives like this, because you get to interact and establish or form like partnerships with each other. And I guess that's a good segue to mention that we have our in-person session this Saturday at Guavalim where we could actually meet and discuss. And so that's something that's really beautiful from initiatives like this.
Yes, I would love for people to show up. I've heard back from some people that it's high season, so they're busy working, so they can't make it. It's this Saturday. I just posted the event link at the bottom.
We have a space in
Yeah, as long as you participated in one of these events, if you watched one of the videos on signed up for the course, you're welcome to come and along with just getting to interact with us cool people and you being cool yourself, you'll get to enjoy wood fired pizza and good vibes.
and we could continue the collaboration. We've been in fact you've been seeing our faces since February, so it would be good to see some of you in person and to have a conversation and talk about how we can work together and continue to build the industry.
Exactly, and networking is very essential. A lot of people don't realize the value of it or minimize the value of it. It is very important. I know networking can be like a dirty word for some people, but basically networking is just getting to know people and establishing relationships. It doesn't have to be super formal or to the point where you go to each other's house for breakfast or lunch or dinner. But it's just like you see each other and you're like, oh, I know this person. Yeah. And trust develops. And someone like my dad, anywhere he goes, like, because he knows so many people, he never paid for parking. It's- But I think that's it. Like if you Unless there's any more questions, we can end the session here. It was really great. I really enjoyed having everyone come to these sessions, and it's been an incredible, eye-opening experience for me. And I'm really glad that we were able to provide this to Belizean professionals, and I was able to see that people in Belize are eager to learn and enhance their products and services, and that means Belize is in good hands. The growth of the economy, the country's in good hands because we have a lot of ambitious, smart, intelligent people that are self-starters and interested in growing and in enhancing their products and services. And like Angela said, we commend everyone for participating in this session, whether you came to the live sessions or you're watching the recordings at your own pace.
Yes. I guess it's thank you to do the closing, but thank you for joining us this afternoon, for joining us since February. I'd like to, of course, remind you about the in person event. We have a couple slots left. So if you can attend, you can go ahead and RSVP with the link that Lorenzo shared in the chat. It would be on Saturday at 1 p.m. at the Guavalim Cafe. And as mentioned earlier, this initiative is supported by the Emergent Ventures grant from George Mason University's Mercatus Center in collaboration with Belizeing.com and the Lodge at Chat Creek. We appreciate everyone's participation and engagement. And if you have any other questions, you could send us an email, reach out to us. And then please feel free to go ahead and proceed with completing the test for the end of the session. And hopefully we get to see some of you on Saturday.
Take care. Bye.
Bye.